I've been making this argument about college basketball slash NBA. I think they made a big mistake. I think the NFL and college football over the last decade, as more college concepts and more mobile quarterbacks and all that has sort of blended into the NFL. The NFL and college have slowly became almost, not quite, but almost one universal product where you watch college guys, they're transitioning better to the NFL. The product, resembles what you're going to see on Sundays. You want to see the next generation of talent. Where in the NBA and college basketball, the NBA draft, if you look up mock drafts, there may be one or two players in the top 10 that are from college. Most of them are from the G League or international players, which while it can help the NBA grow its general audience and development overseas, it has hurt the value of college basketball in a way where March Madness, you could argue, becomes more exciting because we have no idea who the hell is going to win the tournament.
Mhm.
But it has devalued the regular season to the point where a casual like myself doesn't even need to watch college basketball until day one of the March Madness tournament. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's been a problem for the last couple of years now because and you could always make the argument because you'd look at a conference like the West Coast Conference who houses Gonzaga, St. Mary's, San Francisco, Santa Clara, all those teams. No matter how bad your record is in the regular season, you're going to make the conference tournament. So you don't really have to turn it on while the regular season is still going on. In a conference like the MAC, where not every team in the conference makes the conference tournament, then yeah, regular season basketball in college is important. But but all of the Power Six tournaments, every team's in them. So you're going to see DePaul in the Big East tournament. They're not going to win anything, but you'll see them there. So it really does devalue the value of regular season college basketball, unless you're one of those bubble teams who needs a win to boost your resume just enough, get you just high enough in the net rankings, get you just high enough in the Ken Palm rankings, to kind of nudge you over that line, make you a last four in team, give you a last four by team maybe, and it really, I would say, the games that matter are your quad one or quad two games, or every game in probably late February, early March.
Yep. Just to gain momentum, obviously, into the tournament and try to get a better seed. But we've seen now, and I think that March Madness, I said it, and you can tell me if you disagree or not. I think that this year is going to be similar to last year. We're going to have a ton of upsets in the tournament. And I feel that way because the gap between the top teams and the lower teams are not as big. The best players, they may be, a mid-round lottery talent type in the NBA. And then there's teams that, as you mentioned, are bubble or lower seeds, but they are guys who are not one and done. These are guys that have played together for 3, 4 years. These are teams that have a lot of veteran experience that have also been in the tournament that a lot like San Diego State last year, a lot of veteran talent, even though they were a lower seed, able to get to the championship game. So I think we're going to see a lot of that again this year. I was asking previous guests. I know it's pretty unfair because we're only, at the time of this recording, we're about 2 weeks out from the big reveal of the 68 teams in the bracket. But are there teams that you think are favorites? Are there some lower seeds that potentially we could be looking out for?
Yeah, it's fun to look at some of these mid-major teams, man, like Indiana State. They were ranked at one point this year, but they've got this guy Robbie Avila he's awesome. I compare him to college Jokic. That's kind of how I
Okay.
look at him. I think the Sycamores are a really fun team to watch out of the Missouri Valley. Um, Now I think they have to win the Missouri Valley because I don't think that's a two bid conference. So if Drake messes around and wins the MVC again, that could be a bid steal. But I would keep your eye on Indiana State for sure. Keep your eye on Grand Canyon. That's a fun team out of the Western Athletic Conference. Again, they're a team that would have to win their conference tournament to get that auto bid. I think Grand Canyon could probably be a 14 seed. So depending on who their matchup is, that could be one to look out for. USF, the Bulls, out of the American, ranked for the first time in God knows how long, if maybe ever. Um, they beat FAU at home. What was the first sellout at their arena since 2001? That was a really fun game. So there's all these mid-major programs that you have to keep an eye out for, and whoever comes out of the A10, I'll tell you what, they're going to give someone a problem. You could maybe see two bids out of the A10 this year in which is really rare, because Dayton has been playing really well. They've been ranked most of this year, but Loyola Chicago,
Here
they
we
that
go again,
program
Sister Jean.
that program might be back. Porter Mosier took the job at Oklahoma um, after their Final Four run, and they moved conferences. It kind of took a little bit of time to build them back up, but they might be back, man. They've looked really fun this year.
So again, we're recording this on March 3rd, so we're still a little bit over 2 weeks away. But right now, who would your favorite be to take it all?
It's one of the top five teams right now. Whether it's Purdue. Purdue's going to be looking to bounce back after that 16 seed loss to FDU. You can't look past Houston, and UConn's just looked really, really dominant all year. Aside from the Creighton loss that they took last week, UConn's looked damn near unbeatable this year. And I think
I think
a dark
Creighton could
horse could be
potentially be a
Tennessee
sneaky
as
team
well.
as well.
Tennessee, you have to look at Tennessee
Yeah.
too, with Dalton Knecht, Zakai Ziegler. That's a good team.
So a little bit off topic, but still sort of in the college ranks. Obviously, we know how spectacular Caitlin Clark has been, and we've seen the success that Steph and Sabrina had in the NBA All Star Weekend, bringing sort of women's basketball, not only college but WNBA, to the spotlight. But I said when we talk about March Madness, and you immediately knew what I was talking about. I was talking about the men's tournament, and the reason why, and say what you want, the reason why I don't, or a lot of media or whatever, don't cover the women's tournament at all, it's not marketed. It's I know it's on TV, don't know where it's at on TV. It's very hard to locate, and when you have all these schools and the men's March Madness is being billed as such a brand, I think what really put the women's tournament sort of a little bit on the map was the after COVID year when the tournament was canceled, when they were all in Indianapolis, there was no travel, and it was revealed the woman had such harsher treatment with their hotels and things like that than the men's. But do you have any comment on that? I mean, it just feels like, I hate to say it, but it almost feels like the whole women's tournament is an afterthought, like it doesn't even exist.
I think women's college basketball is in the best place right now that it's been in a while. With these marketable stars like Caitlin Clark, like Angel Reese from LSU, um, and I think my biggest qualm with women's basketball is just the lack of parity. Because we just talked about it. We feel like there's going to be a ton of upsets in the men's tournament this year. I don't feel like you see that in women's basketball too much.
No, I mean, you can make a case in the men's, maybe half the field or at least 30 teams could win the tournament. Am I wrong on that?
No, I don't think you are at all. I think there's at least 20 capable teams.
So, sort of last sort of question for you, which is going to be a little bit of a open-ended question for you, but we talked about March Madness obviously being less predictable, more upsets, but with the transfer portal and these one and dones, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. We touched on it a little bit, but I want you to expand on that a little bit more. The quality of college basketball moving forward, because is this our new norm? Is there just not going to be as many stars? Is it just going to be a 3 week sport essentially in March? Or is the NBA and its college basketball going to do something to fix it?
I think that NIL is a good way to combat the G League because that's why guys were going to the G League was because they could get paid. But now with NIL becoming such a big thing, I think college basketball, the stars will work their way back into the sport. But I think I've said this. I think the transfer portal is really good for college basketball. I think it's been really bad for college football. Because you're going to see the same 10 programs pretty much succeed in college football. But with college basketball, look at a team like FAU. I mean, they made a run to the Final Four last year, and they were able to keep their entire team intact. That's pretty cool, I think. And Dusty May sticking around trying to get this program built up. I think his quote was the Gonzaga of the
Yeah, I
Southeast.
did see that.
Is that's what their vision was for FAU. Um, I think coaches like that are few and far between too. I think that's a big part of it. Like guys that are actually dedicated to their mid-major program. I give a ton of credit to Dusty May for doing that, for sticking around there.
So
Um,
I have always felt that, with basketball, obviously it's a different sport than football because we know that in the NFL draft, they're drafting kids that have had at least 2 or 3 years of college experience. They're more mature. Where in the NBA, you're drafting guys that are 18 years old. Sometimes it takes them 6 years to develop. And I'm not a patient guy. I want to go win championships. I rely more on veteran players. I don't have time to wait for young kids to develop because I watch some kids and the light bulb goes off like that in a year or two when they're stars. Um, so I always thought that, and I always thought, high school to NBA, if you're good enough, I don't think they should be holding you to college. Though, as we both know, the college experience is very different from high school. Everybody should probably experience at least one semester of college.
yep.
But I do think if you commit to college, it's you got to play 2 or 3 years. Like I think the one and done rule hurts you more. It's like you're going there for the experience, but you're not really bought in, right? You're there to just be there. So if you want to go to the G League or if you want to go from high school to the NBA, that's fine by me. But if you're gonna be in college, stay in school. Like that's the whole reason why you went there. And I think that would help create better players coming out of the draft if they were more developed coming out of college, because that's supposed to be the point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the prime example of that right now is probably Bronny James.
Yes.
He goes to USC. I think the plan was probably to just go straight to the NBA after 1 year at USC. I don't know how realistic that is now. Given the struggles that USC has had this season. But yeah, I do agree with you that you can't just be done. You got to stick around.
What's going to be funny is Bronny is arguably an undrafted player, and a team may draft him. I'm not even joking. Would a team take a chance and draft him top 5 just to get LeBron on their team? I mean,
Top five, no. Second round, yes.
okay, so you don't think a team would vastly reach just to get LeBron on their team for 1 year?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. The NBA draft too, the lottery to me is a gimmick. I think it's stupid. I think it's unfair. I
Yep.
mean, the for example, I mean, when the Cavs won the lottery and got Andrew Wiggins, obviously used that to get Kevin Love. They were like near the end of the lottery, and there's no way they should have won the lottery that year. I always thought the lottery was rigged. I'm not into conspiracy theories, but there's too many times where the team that shouldn't won the lottery have won the lottery to get a player to a certain city. Um, obviously, I think Victor Wembanyama has been great for San Antonio, like trying to revive that great franchise. Um, but I don't like the lottery. I support tanking if you're bad. Like I think you're bad for a reason.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. We saw the same thing with the NHL this year with the second that the Chicago Blackhawks start to struggle, you get a generational prospect.
By the way, I didn't even know that the MLB had a lottery. Do I find out the Guardians got the #1 pick? I was like, what the
Yeah,
hell?
I had no idea either.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. while you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brandon's World podcast right here on YouTube.